Hello everyone and welcome back to part 21 of our F124 driver career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for yet another sprint weekend from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Of course, if you missed out on yesterday's video from Mexico City, I would highly recommend going back and check it out. Safe to say, as we get towards the end of this first season, we've learned a lot about the game, and we are looking forward to obviously prepare ourselves ready for the next championship as well. Of course, Haas, we've made a focus on next year's car. Hopefully, is going to, help us out and mean that we're going to be more competitive as we head into the new campaign. Of course, try and basically get closer and closer to those front runners. Of course, it's kind of a bit weird with the way the performance works now in F124, that basically you're either a backmarker or a front runner. As you can see at the moment, Red Bull back to having the strongest car in the campaign. We've still got a huge swath of upgrades though, 2 major power unit upgrades, which are hopefully going to boost us back past Williams and Visa Cash App as well. Having a look at the Drivers' Championship, of course, it is all wrapped up for Max Verstappen, but less than 100 points now, the gap between Red Bull and Ferrari behind. So maybe Ferrari can drag that out to the bitter end. Of course, they've got 4 more races to go and 2 more sprints as well. So they've got some kind of chance of being able to achieve that. But yeah, as we head out though towards Sao Paulo, going to take a couple of fresh engine components as well. Obviously, we've got a couple of very, very power sensitive circuits coming up, but I will join you guys in qualifying.
Atmospheric tracks don't come much better than this. We're in Brazil for qualifying. Let's get some laps at the limit.
Well, it was a good job I didn't cover free practice in this video because it was really depressing. Couldn't get a single score out of the car, so I don't know whether it's just a lack of pace, a poor setup ideology, or what. But yeah, as we move out though into sprint qualifying, obviously hoping we can have a bit of a better run than we did in Mexico. Of course, if you missed out on that video, we no longer use the hot lap overtake mode in qualifying because the AI don't, so it gives you an unfair advantage. But yeah, we want to try and get a good lap on the board. Obviously, we've got the set of mediums. I feel like, though, this will end up being a track where we have to use the softs. Again, just where we've lost out on those final few tenths of a second as Lando, Norris top of the board. As we run just that little bit wide. Well, we're still a 10th up on Logan Sargent by the end of Sector 2. But yeah, I mean, we're probably going to lose a lot of time at this final corner. Charles Leclerc clearly had a lap that he doesn't want to write home about, as everyone else has gone softs then, interestingly. So that would explain why we're so far down. We do go quicker than Charles, but only P17. Oh, I think Charles Leclerc has been well and truly Ferrari'd here. We're going back out on a set of the softs for our final last-ditch run. But Charles Leclerc still out there on the mediums, despite the fact he's slowest of anybody so far in this session. We only need another couple of tenths to hopefully see us into Q2.
Push down into P18.
But yeah, I mean, we saw in Austria, didn't we, in our driver career mode, how I actually pretty much matched my soft time on the initial set of mediums. So hopefully that's not going to be the case today. We need to see ourselves back into Q2. Of course, this is just really more about confidence for the rest of the weekend. There is too much curb down the end of the Interlagos. We just cannot gel with this car here. Well, on the sector of the circuit where we should be able to find the most time against the AI, we haven't really done a lot. Still, in fact, we're 600s down then. As Sergio Perez in the drop zone, Charles Leclerc still in the drop zone. I don't think we're going to see Q2 again then. We just have not got this soft compound lap hooked up. As we open up the DRS out of the final corner, shortest run back towards the line. We haven't done it. P18 on the grid. What has happened to our 1-lap pace? Well, there we go. Lando Norris quicker than Fernando Alonso. But to be fair, yeah, Max Verstappen P3, Oscar Piastri 4th place there on the mediums. So I don't think the delta was that strong between those two compounded tyres. But Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc out in Q1. This clearly just isn't a track for the Haas car, though. Myself and Hulkenberg P18 and P19 only quicker than Yuki Tsunoda in that V-carb.
Welcome to today's sprint. This is shaping up to be another fantastic weekend. We're racing then at Interlagos, a historic 2.7 mile circuit and one of the few anti-clockwise tracks on the calendar. 15 corners in total, 9 to the left and 6 to the right, with a technical middle section opening up to a flat-out Sector 3 that gives us our best passing opportunity down into Turn 1. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday and he'll start from pole position. And Fernando Alonso completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Norris, Hamilton, Oscar Piastri, Sainz, Russell, Gasly, Stroll, Albon, Ocon, Bottas, Ricciardo, Joe, Sargent, Perez, Leclerc, Mr. Monaco, Hülkenberg, and Yuki Tsunoda. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We will soon find out.
I know you're gutted to be starting from here, but just focus on putting that and some other cars behind you. Good luck.
Yep, yeah, say annoyed again with the lack of pace we showed in qualifying, but hopefully, like we saw in Mexico, we can come on a bit stronger in the Grand Prix. Don't fancy using the softs, to be honest, and I'd rather open them up to use in the race if we need to. So we're going to use the mediums at the start of this sprint. Hopefully it'll mean that towards the end of the sprint race, we've got some pace over the AI as well, as we look to be the only car that's tried it. It is 5 red lights here in Brazil. And a mighty long hold later, it is lights out and away we go. To the surprise of nobody, Hülkenberg will get past me. Tsunoda might do as well as we make our way into turn 1. Sergio Perez already trying to make moves there further up the road as we attempt to turn our tyre into a 50 pence piece. Find an avenue. Whoa, around the outside of Hülkenberg. Charles Leclerc and Logan Sargent clearly having a picnic on the apex of turn 2 then. Not ideal as we make our way down the Interlagos. Down the inside of our teammate. Come on, get the move done. They're very robust in the end. But we hang on to P18 off the start then. So Sergio Perez, I believe, the big mover in all of that. As Max Verstappen, haven't said it much in the second half of the year, but leading the way at the front of the field as we try and nip and tuck our way into this middle sector. We've got to be prepared to make moves on lap 1. But we've also got to be prepared to accept that we don't have as much grip there. Down the inside of Logan Sargent. Into the next hairpin, so we will complete that one. So we've gained 1 place on the opening lap, which I guess is good. Yeah, I clearly have way more straight line speed than me. There goes Sargent.
This lap, we can use DRS when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
Love that. Still was down his inside, and Sargent clearly didn't spot me there. Luckily, there won't be much front wing damage. But yeah, DRS now enabled, so we've got to try and get back past the Williams. Well, Brazil ended up being one of the AI's weakest tracks inside F123. It was actually, yeah, right towards the end of the year, a really, really strong track for the human player. Clearly, that's been tweaked on F124, as down the inside goes Hülkenberg back at turn 1. I mean, yeah, we really are just seemingly battling each other here. And this is kind of what we were expecting when we took the sacrifice for performance ready for next season. So we got to try and get kind of through these last few Grand Prix and prepare ourselves for the new campaign. As around the outside of the Hulk, see still calls and questions about who's going to be the number 1 driver within the team, and Hülkenberg makes his claim. Unfortunately, yeah, all this battling with Hülkenberg is really helping Tsunoda keep up. Down the inside we'll go again down the Interlagos and up into P18. I mean, Hülkenberg is literally coming from 6 tenths back in the DRS, and that's the first time he hasn't been able to pull alongside me. I feel like we're slowly starting to see the mediums come into it. But yeah, it is definitely too little too late. Oh no, we're going to get jumped by the pair of them now, aren't we? There goes Nico. Yuki again trying to look for something, but he's met with a wall of Haas Formula 1 car. As Hülkenberg that time round is going to slam the door shut on myself. Are we going to be able to try and carry any kind of speed up into Ferradura around the outside? No grip there. Tsunoda has a look in. Maybe I've just tripped myself over there. Oh, another big lock-up. Come on. This is really not what we need. I need to get a stronger qualifying for the real Grand Prix. I would say Hülkenberg and I need to work together to keep Yuki at bay, but let's be fair, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, does it? I'm sure it's not going to affect things come the end of the season. So once again, side by side with our teammate down through turn 2 and turn 5 and turn 6. Up the hill we go. Can we go the long way around this time? AI definitely much more confident through that corner now. On last year's game, you could just go clean around their outside there. It's exactly what I've still ended up doing, but it's a lot more difficult. Well, Logan Sargent's dropped out the range of the train up in front then, as, well, that train was basically won up until about 2 laps ago, but clearly one of the Sauber cars as well has lost out. I would like to not lose to Logan Sargent here if I can help it, but I guess we've got to hope that his soft tyres completely fall off. Well, as we start the final lap then, I think someone's ran into problems. That's Valtteri Bottas, who looks like he's gone for a spin then, so not too sure what has happened to the flying fin. But yeah, he has dropped way down the order right towards the end of this one. Maybe locked into that battle with Sergio Perez as here comes Hulkenberg down my inside. Not there, you don't, sunshine. But could we possibly get closer to the flying fin? Our medium tyres have definitely become quicker. But yeah, it was certainly far too late. But we had to try something here, just to kind of see if we could get any advantage over the AI. Just really not working out around this Sao Paulo circuit at the moment. Gonna need to really rethink our plan of attack in future Grand Prix here. But through the final couple of corners, Max Verstappen, it has been an absolute age since we've seen him take the checkered flag. It's not a Grand Prix, but it is the sprint. The Dutchman back on top once more in this series for the first time since Silverstone. Mercedes, I believe, ahead of Fernando Alonso, followed him home. But out of the final corner for us, trying to drain the battery. P18 to P18 kind of sums it up. Well, there we go. Sergio Perez actually did a pretty good job recovering his way through the field there. Certainly much better than Charles Leclerc was able to. 16th to 10th for the Mexican there, as Leclerc can only gain 2 spots. But yeah, 18th at the start, 18th at the end. It was not the right strategy call for us. You can see that in our best lap time. But I'm not sure we're going to be able to do much better as we head into the rest of the weekend. Ferrari, though, they need to show up if Verstappen looks hungry. I've also opted to remove some of the wing angle on both sides of the car, so hopefully that's going to give us a little bit more pace and straight line speed as well as we come towards the end of our first qualifying run. Hasn't felt like a bad lap, and it's going to go 16th, just ahead of both Kick Saubers. Hamilton right on the bubble. Final lap in anger then here in qualifying. Hopefully we'll see ourselves into Q2, but I'm expecting times to continue to tumble. We saw it in the sprint yesterday. They are able to improve by a good 0.3 of a second on their last-ditch runs. So that's about the goal we need to aim for here, as we're about a 10th away from Lewis Hamilton at the moment. It would be quite a shock to see him out in Q1, of course, honorary Brazilian citizen that he is. But yeah, 10th up as we make our way down the hill.
Down to P16.
Hate the way he tells us that when we already know I'm in P16, because we were there at the end of the first run. Piastri goes top of the board, so clearly showcasing that times are continuing to improve and move around. We need to try and get a good run through this final corner there as I nicked the grass on the way, and that was a terrible line. But we do carry the speed off of the turn there. Stroll on 108.3 again is going to be the benchmark. No, it's Albon moving around, so we are down to last place then. Hulkenberg's going to make it through. I think we might be last on the grid here. We are. Dearie, dearie me. Well, there we go. Oscar Piastri top of the board ahead of Alonso and Max Verstappen there. Hulkenberg makes it through into Q2. We were 0.3 away from him, though, so I said it was going to be about 0.3, and that was the difference maker at the end of qualifying. We were pretty much even with the time we set in sprint qualifying, so at least we're consistent. It's a shame we're consistently rubbish.
Formula One returns to Interlagos once again with the stage set for what promises to be another classic Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel famously clinched his 3rd championship here in 2012, and in 2016, Max Verstappen treated us all to one of the finest wet weather drives of all time. Interlagos, always a very special race here in Brazil, is a 2.7-mile circuit with 9 lefts and 6 rights for a total of 15 corners. The fastest lap today should have an average speed of around 135 miles per hour, if, of course, the weather stays dry until the end of the Grand Prix. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole, and it's Fernando Alonso alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Perez, Russell, Oscar Piastri, Tsunoda, Verstappen, Ocon, Norris, Ricciardo, Joe, Hulkenberg, Sainz, Gasly, Albon, Stroll, Sargent, Bottas, and Mr. Monaco. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Right, back of the grid. I mean, there is literally only one direction we can go from here, so try and move forward and see if we can get something out of it.
Yep, that's basically all we can aim for this afternoon. Try and make up some spots then as we line up on the grid once more here in Sao Paulo. We were only a second off pole at the end of qualifying, but that makes all the difference. So had I had my hot lap, or my overtake mode even, I reckon we could have been right up towards the sharp end of the table. But yeah, we've just got our work out today, to be completely honest. We've got to try and carve our way through. It is 5 red lights here in Brazil, and it is going to be lights out, and away we go. Oh, a lot of wheel spin up through second and third gear. Is everyone trying to find some real estate down in towards turn 1? Tiny wheel bang there with Logan Sargent, but I think we'll just about make the move. Actually get a warning for a collision there as we launched it over the curb through turn 2. You could just see we were going to get a little bit squeezed out there on the outside as Pierre Gasly opts to start this one from a set of the mediums. So interesting then that some of the AI are going for it.
Okay, the start was fine. Let's try and move forward.
I can't recommend not doing that enough based on what happened to us yesterday, but that Alpine is a much, much quicker car than my own. It's down the inside of Alex Albon and Lance Stroll. We've got to be a little bit cheeky with it, don't we? Early on, especially when we know we might be set to struggle a bit later, as already back with our teammate Nico Hülkenberg, and already down the inside of my teammate Nico Hülkenberg there, making up moves on lap 1, up 6 places so far. Happy with that, as Charles Leclerc still going to lead the way from the front of the field there. Sainz needs to go on a bit of a tear today, but Ferrari once again have an opportunity to continue just taking points out of Red Bull's lead in the Constructors' Championship. No DRS on lap 1, but yeah, we've settled in nicely. Oh, I say that. Someone hasn't settled in nicely. That's George Russell. We'll move up into an unlucky P13. Well, what's really odd is the mediums over 1 lap seem to have decent pace. Early on in race trim, though, they definitely seem to lose out there as trying to apply some pressure to Carlos Sainz in his Ferrari. To the outside will go. Oh, very careful not to dip a wheel on the grass. But we can't make it happen there. I've also got to add as well, I'm happy with the less front wing. It seems that it's still working for us quite nicely. Definitely got a bit of an advantage through the middle sector. But I think now, yeah, even if the car in front is in the DRS, we might be able to still apply pressure. It does take a couple of laps, though, to recharge the pack here, as we'll try and get a move on Carlos Sainz again. Open up that DRS. You can see, though, that Ferrari, once you kind of get over 200 miles an hour, gets very, very quick. But we're going to use even more this time round. Right in the outside we'll go. Really pinched him, but we are through. And up into P12 then, and Ferrari.
Good work. Great pass.
They haven't come knocking for me yet, but surely with the season we've had, they could be interested in the future. Well, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton at the front of the field battling it out for the lead. Fernando Alonso is in the mix as well then, so this is really bunching up everybody behind. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about, yeah, is Carlos Sainz definitely has a lot of straight line speed still relative to most. Team have given me the objective to try and move past Ricciardo. Not sure we can do it permanently. We're going to try it anyway. Get past him. There we go.
Really good. You hit that target nicely. There's a long way to go in this race, so let's keep it clean.
Well, I was not actually expecting to complete the move there. I just wanted to get ahead of him temporarily. But up into P11 then, so we've made our way pretty much halfway through the field as what is going on in front. We've got yellows. We've got yellows. Charles Leclerc from the lead of the Grand Prix. Whoa! What is the Ferrari doing? What is that for a rejoin, Charlie? I have no idea how we didn't hit him there, but we've got to make sure we don't lose now the DRS range to the cars in front. The AI rejoins on this game are worse than on F1 Manager, and that is saying something. But we're into the points then of the Grand Prix, which I guess is good. But yeah, we cannot afford to lose to Zhou. Zhou Guanyu is barely hanging on by his fingertips to those cars in front of him. I feel like, yeah, this is going to be where we see a breakaway between the top runners and the rest of the group. But yeah, I mean, we've still got Tsunoda and Esteban Ocon way up there towards the front of the field as Charles Leclerc thinks about it. We'll just use a little splash of battery to keep him up. There's a huge lock-up down at turn 1. Oh, we are struggling to keep the tyres where we need them.
Blowing down. It seems like there's some kind of problem with their car.
Oh no, Yuki. He's having such a good race after a terrible sprint yesterday. That's going to be suddenly then, I would assume, where we're going to see a split up then of the train. Because Tsunoda through this middle sector is probably going to lose out bags of time. Or he's not, because they're side by side. Oh, this does not work out well for anybody, though, as Norris try and make the move work. Tsunoda gets a little bit caught out. We might be able to get the run on Zhou Guanyu, who's sat watching this to the left, to the right, to the left again. So look at the speed we've got down the Interlagos, though. 3 wide with Tsunoda and Norris, and that's a triple overtake made. No contact at all there. We found an avenue, we went for it. We've definitely lost the DRS of the cars in front, so Esteban Ocon now. Let's see, we saw Gasly get a podium last weekend. Ocon's going to try his luck this time. Oh, here goes Lando Norris. Nothing we can really do. Nothing I really should do either, as Tsunoda and Zhou have dropped back a bit. Charles Leclerc now trying to make moves happen. We can just keep Zhou out of the range, which I think we have. Let's try and latch on to the back of Lando and stick with him. Oh, Esteban Ocon, as soon as I say about how he's going to fight for a podium, yet another mechanical failure for the Frenchman there, as that one goes up in a big way for Alpine. Not the weekend they would have wanted. The tyres, yeah, I think are hitting the cliff at the moment. We've lost the range to Lando Norris as we've got loads of other tyres in.
Distance to the speed limit line as you approach, and make sure you don't speed.
Verstappen, Piastri, and I believe Alonso all in, as we'll make sure we don't speed into the pit lane there. Yeah, I would not want to be going any longer than we've had to on this set of tyres, as Hamilton will just get out ahead of me. I think we'll slow up Max Verstappen, though, just a little bit. Again, the luxury of being down the end of the pit lane, no one can do that to us.
Okay, off we go, back into the race. Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go.
Well, I guess the big thing for us now is try and get back in the range of Lando Norris, but we're going to have Charles Leclerc hunting me down over the next couple of laps. We are still a Ferrari young driver, so I'm sure he'd love to get back past me and maybe make his life a bit easier. Most of our other soft compound runners then into the pit lanes, so we still won't know where Lando is just yet, as he's actually out behind both of those Red Bulls. But we move back up into the points. Well, the medium runners, they're not able to go much further than the soft compound tyres, so, I mean, they're all having to go over to hards anyway. But interestingly that no one tried doing the alternate strat there, as we've got someone making their way out of the pits. That is Max Verstappen. I mean, I would happily be dragged along by him. Here comes the Dutchman. We'll rejoin right alongside me on pit exit. But we'll obviously have warmer tyres, so we'll make the move on the Dutchman. Well, I know Max Verstappen is certainly not going to be a fight I'm going to win, but if we can try and stick with him, maybe he can drag us around for a few laps here. That'd be really useful. Sergio Perez in the pits as well. So we might be up into P5 then still of this Grand Prix. I don't know. Actually, Perez was ahead of Verstappen most of this Grand Prix so far, but Alonso's got a breakaway. Are we going to see win number 3 for the Spaniard? Oh, we got yellows, more yellows. I think that's a V-carb that's gone. That must be Yuki Tsunoda then, having a brilliant race up to now. A few reliability gremlins kicking in, and now a lock up at turn 1. I'm not even sure we could get past Verstappen if I wanted to. Here is immediately, Russell's going to move past the V-carb and a breakdown himself. So at least Tsunoda will get one freebie.
Burn off some of this energy.
So that might well be a safety car here, breaking down at the same place Esteban Ocon did. We might get away with it. I'm not sure I want one at the moment. I'm quite happy just to sit in behind Verstappen here, as Leclerc's still taking a bit of time out of us. That Ferrari on a stage softer tyre. But yeah, Russell out of the Grand Prix. Oh, Hamilton and Oscar Piastri are really costing each other time at the moment, and Red Bull will sense an opportunity here. Both their drivers on the harder tyres, so they should have an advantage towards the end of the afternoon. You can see how we're barely hanging on to Verstappen. But I mean, yeah, look at this. The Merc and the McLaren just side by side every single time. Sergio Perez now trying to get involved in it, so yeah, Verstappen and I, we're just working together at the moment, which doesn't happen often, admittedly, on the F1 game. But we could be in the podium fight. Let's not forget, I started last. Oh, what is going on? I can just see Perez and Hamilton moving around as Piastri maybe senses an opportunity to run away. Hamilton and Sergio, you do not want to go side by side through the Center S. It is a fantastic way of giving that McLaren a little bit of breathing room, as Alonso, he's gone. He's checked out at this stage of the day. But yeah, we've just got to really play the strategy now.
Ahead of you. Right, here we go. Let's look to get past quickly and put them on the back foot.
I've got to get through 4 cars. What is that? Why Oscar Piastri, of all people in this group? That's ridiculous. I mean, the big thing I'm worried about at the moment as we watch Perez and Piastri go side by side is that Charles Leclerc, he's still got pretty much free reign behind him. Oh, Zhou Guanyu locks up. So yeah, Charles Leclerc's basically just free to close in as much time as he likes on this group. Piastri now drops in behind Sergio. But are we going to end up with another Ferrari and another McLaren in this gaggle? Well, it's about at this point of a Grand Prix, we've got to start thinking about our own strategy towards the end. We're kind of hanging on with these guys, but they're only going to get more and more aggressive with each other in these battles. Hamilton seems dead set on not letting Verstappen by. Perez seems to have the pace, though, over Oscar Piastri, so might just break free. I mean, I would love a podium here. We absolutely don't deserve one. We haven't had the pace all weekend, but what an upset. Oh, Verstappen this time around the outside of Lewis. This is not good news for any of us, because it gives the other two a bit of breathing room, as we're going to try and get the run on the pair of them. 3 wide again down the Interlagos there. As look at that, we've got the speed when we use the battery. Get it parked on the apex there, and we waited, and we have finally pulled it off. Are they still side by side?
Great job, really impressive.
Mark loving that. Oh, I think Lando Norris is out. Is he? No, he locked up. Here comes Max Verstappen back down the inside. The Dutchman will go.
0.7 seconds.
Yeah, not really surprised I couldn't do a lot there. Maybe he can close us back in on Checo and Oscar. But yeah, I should have remembered to shoehorn into that commentary that we were 10 World Championships side by side. Just you know, because. Oh, Checo Perez! Perez has locked up and gone on. Suddenly we are now fighting Verstappen for a podium here in Sao Paulo. This has been just chaos right from the get-go. And Sergio Perez, what a mistake late on in the day. I mean, Verstappen, though, if he gets back in the range of Oscar Piastri, we are in big trouble. Yeah, myself and Lewis, we haven't got the pace right towards the end of the afternoon here. Verstappen now out of the DRS range. We're going to be vulnerable to that Merc as well. We've worked so hard to try and stick with these guys for as long as we possibly could. But with 5 laps to go, it might all just be coming away from us there. Verstappen around the outside of Oscar Piastri.
2 seconds behind the car ahead, keep pushing.
As Hamilton down the inside, he'll go. Maybe we can try and use Lewis. As Oscar, I think, yeah, his medium tyres are really hitting the cliff. Can we get a run back on Lewis though off the corner? Yes, we can. Look at the slingshot. We're able to get there as well. Verstappen locks up. Max Verstappen locks up late on in the day, and suddenly, out of nowhere, we're into the podium places. Both Red Bulls locking up inside 2 laps, and it's given us a lifeline. Yep, again, here comes Max Verstappen. No real point in fighting that. The Dutchman will fly through again, but this time we've got to try and really stick with him. 4 laps to go. He might still get back to Oscar Piastri by the end of this. The Dutchman is cooking. Verstappen just has so much grip through this middle sector. I mean, he's closed back in on Oscar pretty much immediately, and we just cannot hang with him. I mean, it's the hard tyres and the quicker car that is giving him the edge, but I think we're going to be vulnerable to Hamilton again here with 2 laps to go. Are we going to see Verstappen get the run on Oscar Piastri? He gained so much in on him. Piastri is going to try and defend, though, the place. This is exactly what we want to see. We're just 2 laps to go here from Brazil. But Verstappen clean around the outside. Nothing Piastri can do, apart from just try to hang on. Or go for a move back down the inside, down the Interlagos. This is what we want to see, because it helps bring Hamilton and I closer and closer to the fight. Still side by side on the exit of the corner there. We need to be really, really methodical, though, with where we use our battery. But we've got to get back in the range there as Piastri backs out. Verstappen through, but once again, the gap is under 1 second. Well, final lap then, Fernando Alonso hasn't really had much to worry about in the second half of this race. It has all been kicking off behind him. And the Spaniard looks dead set to take win number 3 of the year. It took him so long to get the first one. And now he's starting to rattle them off late on in the year. As are we going to see Piastri get a run back on Max Verstappen out of the centre as we go mounting the curbs as much as we dare. We've lost the range to Oscar again, so we're going to be vulnerable to Lewis Hamilton. But I think Piastri is really starting to struggle on this final lap of the Grand Prix. If he were to somehow drop out of the range of Max, then I would like to believe we've still got a shot here, but I don't think that's going to happen. And once again, it looks like when Fernando Alonso is going to win a Grand Prix, we are confined to a P4 finish there, as desperately trying to throw the car through these opening few corners. You can see how much Verstappen pulls away, though. Well, I think Piastri has just about got enough here. Will we have enough to defend from Lewis Hamilton? Back up towards the start-finish line. Fernando Alonso out of the final corner. He is going to win here in Brazil, I believe, for the first time since 2006. But for us, as we power up towards the start-finish once again from the back of the field. It was so nearly a podium. It is going to be P4 here in Brazil.
We've witnessed some great battles around the historic curves of Interlagos today, and they've taken a fantastic win.
Well, they showed true grit out there today, not to be outdone by the rough circumstances, many points that came their way today. A job well done, not the easiest of days, but they walk away with a race victory.
Aston Martin's performance today has shown that they can be competitive with the biggest names in the sport. They're making their way out onto the podium now as we speak, and the reaction from the crowd must be incredibly uplifting for them.
Well, there we go. Fernando Alonso, 3 wins on the year. Could he make a championship charge next season? Only time will tell there. But Max Verstappen from 8th on the grid, a brilliant recovery to P2 there. Oscar Piastri in 3rd. And yeah, 20th to 4th. We had no pace all weekend. We basically just hung on as best as we could, and everything fell into place for us come the checkered flag. They're really, really happy with that. Would have loved a podium. I think had we had one more lap, it would have been possible. But still, 12 points on the board. We cannot complain with there. Beating out Hamilton, Leclerc, Perez, Norris, Zhou, and Daniel Ricciardo getting another point to add to his tally as well. The Hulkenberg P14 in the end, with Russell and Ocon both failing to see the checkered flag. That means take a look at the Drivers' Championship. Alonso yet back within 8 points of Charles Leclerc with just a handful of races to go. Hamilton back within 8 points of his teammate, and Perez back within 8 points of Lewis Hamilton as well. We are 19 behind Oscar Piastri. But yeah, with those 2 points for Zhou Guanyu, he's now in a 3-way tie with his teammate and Alex Albon late on in the campaign. And we thought we wouldn't see Kick Sauber score points again in this campaign. Clearly, we have been proven wrong there. Another 3-way tie between Sargent Ricciardo and Hulkenberg, all with 2 points to their name. Unfortunately, Hulkenberg actually had the best result of the 3, but because he scored it in a sprint, he's still down in 18th place there. Constructors-wise, Red Bull open up that gap to 114, so it is basically now guaranteed that it will be going back to Milton Keynes come the end of the year, and we have exactly double the points of Kick Sauber as well. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back tomorrow when Formula 1 returns to the neon strips. It'll be the Las Vegas Grand Prix.